I didn't watch the game. Was that Sunday?
Yeah.
No, I was driving. We had 2 games on Sunday, and I was driving back the whole time.
Did you watch Joel?
Yeah, Steph's different.
Dog. That was wild.
Wardell.
Wardell is different. Even the announcers were calling him Wardell. They've been listening to me or something.
Who was on the call? Who was it? Was it
It was the GOAT. Mike Breen and the boys.
Again? Mike Breen. Oh.
Yep.
I was thinking of the dude that he's in his bag like the fries are at the bottom. Who's that guy?
Ian Jackson or something like that? Or is it Marv Albert?
No, Marv Albert's too old. This is a black dude, I think.
Oh, Mark Jackson.
No, dude, he's the play-by-play. That's Mark Jackson's color commentary.
The last name, I'm right on the last name.
You are
like Jim Jackson or something like that.
No, Jim Jackson played in the NBA. You're killing me.
Then I'm just gonna stop.
Mark Jones. There we go.
Mark Jones. There it is. He a Kings guy though.
He has the best little like that what I just said, his little one-liners or his catchphrases. He just comes up with them on the spot, I feel like.
He does. Being an announcer would be so fun on that level. It's so different though, doing TV rather than radio.
The only thing about it is if you say one wrong thing, like you're screwed.
I'm gonna lie. Point. I was doing radio and we went to state, and the team I was doing went to state. First round, they're playing Green River, and this parent was behind me, bro, just complaining about everything for Green River. And I turned around and I forgot my mic was hot, and I go, the foul count's like, I was like, damn, calm down. Foul count's like 10 to 4, and I was like, oh.
You were on air, huh?
Yeah, I was on, because my dad texted me like 2 minutes later. He's like, hey, be careful. You're on air there. I was like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's tough.
Just judging by your Twitter, I can tell you probably, popped off to 1 or 2 people, maybe once or twice on the hot mic.
No, just the once, honestly.
Just that time?
Just that time. It really was, because normally I was like, if we were at home, like I was up in a press box, so I was away from all that stuff. But the one time, and the girl that was running the board back in Gillette she was like, was that someone in the crowd? Because I always set up like the other headset next to the court to get like court noise too. And I was like, yeah, totally. That wasn't me. That was someone in the crowd. I'll turn the mic down a little bit.
Yeah. Let me not talk so crazy.
Oh man. All right. Well, what, episode 12?
Yes, indeed.
Going quickly, Kitchen Hook podcasters, welcome back. As we see, we got a great guest on this one, Mr. Joel Scott, Black Hills alum. Wow, I can't talk right now. Good Lord. But no, we appreciate you for coming on this, man. This is going to be huge.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
What you been up to now that, obviously season's been over for a month and a half or however long it's been? What you been up to? Obviously you got some big news, but other than that, what's the word around there?
Shoot, honestly, not much has been going on. It's kind of weird when you're done with the team you were just on, because like you don't have workouts, like you don't have anything. So I'm like I gotta go figure stuff out by myself, and but like it's really just been like getting in the gym and lifting, shooting, and then get schoolwork and finishing out the year.
Have you been keeping a pretty good regimen, like pretty much the same stuff that they would have you on if you were still with them, like postseason type stuff, doing, especially in the weight room?
Yeah, it's been, so I was actually lucky. Kellen, our strength coach, he actually hooked me up with like what they were doing in weights. And so I just did the same thing they were doing, which was really nice, because if he didn't do that, I would have had no clue what to do. I would have just been in there doing whatever. So that was
that's nice.
Yeah,
that's nice.
I was very, very thankful for that.
Because I know BH in the past has been pretty good with kids that if they want to transfer like weight strength room and all that, they're like, yeah, you can still use like the facility and whatnot until you're done and all that. So I always think that's a good thing because it keeps a good relationship. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Honestly, BH has been nothing but good to me about that stuff. So it's been nice. Like even like Thompson, like he's been great. Like I still go into the locker room and use the basketballs and all that stuff. So
Yeah, when we
you
were
can't be
there,
mad at you, you
shoot.
know. You got
No,
them a
when we
lot
were there,
better.
we always did that stuff too. I remember like Hilgs, when you were done, we were still using the locker room. You were still in the locker room like way well until like you were gone basically.
Yeah. No, I appreciated that for sure. But no, I think Thompson's probably, like, we'll get into it a little bit maybe, but can't be any hard feelings there for you deciding to do what you're
oh
doing.
no,
And, obviously you guys put together, was it 4 or 5 years that you were at BH? Was it?
4 years.
It was 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if you got an extra one for a COVID year.
No,
But
this fifth year will be my COVID year.
oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
But no, like I said, I imagine it couldn't be um, too sour of a parting, with what you two and your squad was able to do together while you were there,
Yeah, definitely. There's no hard feelings in any way. Like, I mean, like when I told him like what I was going to transfer, it was honestly pretty hard just because like everything he's done for me, like he gave me a chance like to come play here. So I appreciate that in every way. Like it's hard not to, but there's no hard feelings. It was a hard conversation though, just because like I do have that loyalty to him to BH. Like so it was tough, but he understood where I was coming from, and he kind of was all for it because he thinks there's just greater things for me outside of BH. So
Well, absolutely. It's always a good thing though when if those conversations and you're going in, it's easy like, hey,
yeah,
there was no relationship past basketball. When it's a hard
yeah,
conversation like that, that means you two developed like a good relationship, you know. So that's always it's hard, but it's also good at the same time.
yeah, exactly.
Well, and being real with you, speaking from a dude that competed against you on, as here at CSU Pueblo for 3 years,
Hmm.
I didn't think you were gonna last at Black Hills for that long, to be honest with you.
No,
I thought you were
Yeah,
gonna.
no,
I don't think many people did.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna be out earlier than that. So the fact that you made it there 4 years and um, he was able to keep you around. I'm sure you were hearing things all the time about this and that, but I was surprised you stayed there for 4. But so it speaks to one of you just mentioned or I think it was you, Joel, the loyalty that you guys
Hmm.
have to each other. So when you speak on that, it's not surprising.
Yeah, no, it just was like I told him like my freshman year, honestly, I was like, Coach, I'm or after my freshman year, I was like, I'm gonna give you 4 years here. Like I felt like we had that possibility to do some pretty big things, like with the team we had coming in that year. And I mean, then COVID hit, which kind of was is COVID. But
Mm-hmm.
that junior year, my
it's
junior
terrible.
year, the team we had was just unbelievable. Like we made that first Final Four run, and no one even thought we could do anything, honestly. And so and then my senior year, I talked to him, and I was like, honestly, like we can do this again. Like we got some unfinished business we got to take care of and try to get back to it again. So
I'll put it on the map for real. Like BH was normal. I mean, when we were there, it was mid. Like Hills' team, this is an unbiased opinion, but I truly believe that that team, we lost so many 5 point, three
Do you
point
mean biased
games.
opinion? I think you mean biased opinion.
Yeah, probably, but yeah, I do mean that.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Anyway.
we lost so many 3 point, 5 point games because I went back and looked at the schedule one time and I was like, damn, if we would have won like these games, like closed it out, we would have been like a top 5 team. But
Mm,
it was a weird mixture of old guys like Hilgs, you, Nick, Riley, and then the young guys that we brought in that were good, like Frazier, Pat, Ellie, all Jonas. Jonas didn't play, but there was like a huge difference. There was no middle class, and I felt like the last 2 years you were there with that run you made, you guys had it all. You had good freshmen, you had good guys middle, and then you had good like veterans. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's definitely like the most important part is you gotta have people kind of like you gotta have those older guys to show the younger guys kind of what to do, and then you gotta have the middle of the pack guys that are just consistent and just they kind of know both, kind of see everything from everyone's point of view a little bit, and we definitely did have that. It's been huge.
Let me ask you this, because maybe you know some of the history, but like Coach McCaleb, you know, he was on, I believe he was on one of those teams that made that run and won the RMAC tournament. Yeah.
Yep.
Did you feel, because those were obviously coached by Coach Thompson as well, did you feel that there was some momentum following, you know, as you were stepping in as a freshman and then kind of building the program up from your freshman year on? Did you feel some momentum from that, or did you kind of feel like it was, we're starting over and we're building a little bit of a new foundation here?
Honestly, I felt like it was more of like we're continuing. Like there definitely was some momentum. Like even talking to Coach Thompson when he was recruiting me, it was very much like he was very confident about the people that were coming in, the people that were coming back, and it wasn't like a rebuild. It was like we're coming to win, like and get stuff done. Like he was very confident about what was about to happen. So it was a pretty, and that's part of the reason why that drew me towards it. Is just like, oh, this team can win. Like it's like they're not messing around.
Because you played with Tony, Steph, and T.O., right?
T.O., yep. My freshman year.
Uki Juki, that's a journey, dude. That kid went through a hell of a journey at BH. I'll be honest.
I know. I already know.
Oh, that
man.
He was so good defensively though. Like that's one player, because when I would play open gym, that was the only dude that I was like nervous as hell to throw a skip pass to, because dude could jump any pass possible. I felt like
he had good instincts too.
For how much he didn't like take care of his body, he is the most athletic person I've ever seen in my life. Like it makes no sense. Like I never understood it.
Me neither, honestly.
I remember when he came in. Was it my senior year, Bush? That he first got there. I was just like, man, I don't know what this dude's about, but he can hoop. Like this guy can play.
He is a hooper for sure.
And he just obviously he had some of his struggles early on there and got himself right or eventually, but that first impression of that kid was like, this guy is legit. He's got some game. Because Coach Trumbauer didn't really bring on dudes like that, you know? Like that wasn't the type of cats he recruited. So when he brought Uki Juki on there, I was like, okay, we can work with this a little bit.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy my freshman year because I was coming in as an 18-year-old and Tyler's 25.
Yeah.
I was like, geez. I was in 6th grade when this dude was graduating high school.
Like,
Oh man.
That was one thing someone asked me. The first time we played BH, Shafe called me into the office. He goes, "Isn't Tyler like super old?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he was there." I was like, I went to school with that kid. Like he was, he's older than where he should be, honestly. But I'm glad he came back and made it right. Like
I was
from
just
how
about to say
it ended to where he came back. Like I'm so happy for him that he was able to have a solid 2 years there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Learned a lot from him too. He put a lot of good things like for how much how crazy he is, but he's passionate about the game and he does a lot of things well, and definitely learned a lot from him like my freshman year.
Yeah, speaking of your freshman year, I'm not gonna lie to you, you surprised me your freshman year, because I remember we met at We met at camp that year. All three of us, we all
Yep.
met at camp that year.
Yep.
And when we were playing, we played, and I was just like, man, why is this kid not? Because I guarded you. I was, why is this kid not posting me up? I thought you were more perimeter. Because I'd never seen you play in high school. I had no idea. And all that stuff. And then when you started playing your first couple of games, I'm like, God damn, this kid is going to be really good for a lot of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up because like my visit like a month before that, like I was horrible, like so bad. Like even the guys were like, who is this dude? Like, but and even Coach Thompson told me, he was like, we were talking about it, he was like, I wasn't expecting you to come in and play like you did right away, like your freshman year. Like it's just how it was. So like it's kind of funny that you say that and bring that up.
What was it that you felt like he thought you weren't ready for that you ended up being ready for? Like what part of your game was he maybe a little skeptical about that you were able to show him?
Yeah.
I can add value to this team.
Definitely like my physical, like body wise, like I was a kid compared to everyone else still, but going into my freshman year, like after that camp, I actually put on like 10 to 15 pounds of muscle before my freshman year. So that helped out a lot. And then also just like shooting wise, like, and which is crazy because my freshman year was my best shooting year of my career. I almost shot 50% from three, which I still don't know how that happened. But no, the shooting was definitely like shooting and ball handling with things that is kind of like, it's kind of unsure like how it's going to fit in and how it's going to go. So,
So is that something you really worked on? Like, did he tell you that prior to stepping on campus, or is that something that you kind of had the foresight to see?
Honestly, it was kind of like I obviously like got shots up and stuff, but it wasn't like, I was honestly more focused on like my lifting and like ball handling than I was necessarily shooting. And so it was kind of like, I honestly, my freshman year, I still don't understand like how I shot so well. Like, but it was definitely, it was fun.
Love it, man. Absolutely. Yeah, that's, it's funny that Bush brings that up because, it was, and the fact that maybe Thompson felt you couldn't shoot it or couldn't handle it quite well enough, or that you weren't physical enough. And it was like, I feel like all of those things, even though shooting wasn't what you were trying to get to all the time, you were obviously as effective as it gets when you get around the rim, but the physicality part and the ball handling part and being able to be versatile is, in my opinion, on top of a lot of things, what made you so good. Because what did you guys call your offense? The flow offense?
Flow, yeah.
The flow offense, yeah. Like that was so good to put you out in space like that and to be setting those quick little up screens and then dive into that paint. And so you're putting it down with one or two dribbles and then finishing, or, how they give you the ball when you're trailing and you initiate the offense, So it's like, it was so cool to see. Obviously you were freshman of the year by a long shot. And then just the way you progressed every single year and I've said this to Clem, was your IQ, like the way you thought the game and the way you understood the game. I thought every single year was just a different level for you guys and for you personally.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things. Like Coach Thompson definitely helped out a lot with that, but it's also like, it's the teammates you're around, and it's kind of hard to do. Like you can have a high IQ, but if like your teammates don't do anything, like you're not going to be able to be as successful. But it's definitely, I felt like I've grown a lot, but I couldn't have done it without people around me. So
that's what I was going to ask. That obviously your family is big in the basketball realm, like with your older brother Josh. I cannot. What's your brother's name that went to Chattanooga? Jonathan. Yeah, those two. Because I follow him on Instagram with his workouts and stuff. And and how much did that like really benefit and help you preparing for college, and then just having those two, or just all your older brothers, just with that experience, how much did that help you?
Well, it was kind of cool because I mean, I've seen what it kind of takes to get to high level like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, I would always, like when I was younger, I'd always get the chance to like go work out with them or watch them work out or whatnot. So, and then as I got older and they were still in college or overseas or whatever, I mean, we would play one on one, and it's a different type of basketball playing against older guys that are also skilled and like have that experience at a high level. So, I mean, it's definitely helped me out a lot because I mean, like that physicality first off, like older brothers in general will help out with that. I mean, but it's been huge. They've taught me a lot for sure. And my mom's taught me a lot too. She's a big basketball lady.
Where did you get your ability to put the ball on the floor? Because if I remember right, Josh, when he was at CU, he was a straight bucket getter with his back to the basket.
Yeah.
Like he was a traditional post. Is that something you just kind of developed because maybe I don't know, you didn't grow as quick, or what was it?
Yeah, it was kind of when I was growing up, I never was really like a back to the basket player. Like is there if I needed it, but it was always more like I was more of like a slasher, like try to get to the basket in that type of way. And then like the back to the basket stuff just kind of came from watching my brother do it, and like my mom when she was in college, she was a post player too. So like I've done those type of workouts before just because that's like what she knew and what she wanted to do. But it's more just like I didn't really play back to the basket really in high school very often either. It just in college that's kind of what we did, and it got pretty comfortable doing it.
Where did your mom play?
She played at the Air Force Academy.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
that's just a basketball family right there.
Is that what landed you guys in Springs?
Yeah. So I mean, both my parents went to the Air Force Academy. Dad played football, mom played basketball. And then at the end of the day, we just ended up back in the Springs. My dad still works at the Air Force Academy, so.
Awesome. That is dope. I didn't realize you had such a pedigree for not just basketball, but your pops playing in college as well, playing some football in college too. So doesn't surprise me where you get your size from now that you're mentioning it.
Yeah.
All you guys.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you something. We asked Ragsdale this when he was on, but you're obviously your back-to-back Final Four runs at Black Hills. What felt different, if anything, about those two Final Four runs to you? Because to me, looking from the outside in and obviously keeping track of both of those Final Four runs, it was, from my point of view, you guys, the second one, you seemed like the front runner much more.
Yeah.
And it seemed like at least the coverage or the media or the hype around the first one was, they're making, not necessarily that you guys felt this way, but they're making a Cinderella run. You know what I mean? And that was just the feel of it. But what was it from your perspective, the difference of the two?
Honestly, it nails it because that first year, like it was everything was new. Like we had never been on a stage like that before. Those like bright lights, like cameras, like everything was kind of weird. It kind of felt like we weren't supposed to be there, and like it was kind of funny. Like people, no one knew who we were. Like it really was like that Cinderella story. Like you had people come up to you, like in Evansville, be like, where's Black Hills State University?
Yeah.
You're like Spearfish, South Dakota, and they're like, where's Spearfish, South Dakota?
Yeah.
Like that deal. Like it's so. Yeah, is that stage that first year was pretty big for us, and I don't necessarily think we were quite ready for it. And so coming back that second year, it was almost that like we had that confidence, like and like that feeling of like, yeah, we're supposed to be here. Like this is our place. Like we've been here before. We know what we're doing. Like we know what's about to happen, and like what's going on. So we kind of were more ready for it and had people and that experience of doing it before. So
let me
Yeah,
ask
that's
you.
interesting.
I
Yeah, go
want to
ahead.
ask
My
you
bad.
this. So I know because the year before you guys beat Nova Southeastern, their only loss in 2 years are you guys.
yeah.
Um, if you would have got past West Liberty, did you like your chances against them? Knowing that, all right, we've seen them before. A lot of these guys are probably pretty familiar. We know what they do. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
would you have said you would like your chances if you could have got past West Liberty?
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked our chances for sure. I know it would have been a dogfight though, because like
Absolutely.
playing against a team like that, like in general, like that press, full court, just running and gunning, like it's not easy. Like that's like I don't care who you are, like like it's not easy. But it would have been a dogfight. But like at the end of the day, I'm still salty about that West Liberty game because they were not better than us. Like
No.
that's just how I feel. Like they weren't better than us, and so I liked our chances. I genuinely thought we were the best team in that Elite Eight.
I
That's
like it.
I'll stand
I like
by
that.
that.
Because
I
I
respect
remember
that.
when we had Matt on, we were in Riker, we were talking about this too. I just felt like in that game, it was we don't see that style of play in the RMAC. Like we don't
Almost never.
you never see that. I mean, the most recent team I could say is
Highlands, I would
when
say, yeah.
Highlands, or even like when me and Hills were in college, Metro was about the only team that would do that
Yeah, it's
too.
true. Yeah.
But like you don't, you know what I mean? It's just traditional like half court offense, like you're like running flow
Yeah,
offense. So I think the biggest thing was the like, oh my God, that once you guys settled down, it was like, damn, we've dug ourselves a big hole.
yeah,
Even though you gave yourself a chance, I'm not saying that
yeah,
like you didn't, but like it just was the culture shock of that press and like
yeah.
that style of play, you know.
It's different. It's really different when you haven't seen that almost all year. And so, I mean, we tried to fight back as much as we could. We almost got it, honestly, but
You
it's
did.
tough.
Well, and I feel like that style of play at the higher college levels, really at any college levels, especially on the men's side, isn't super common because you have a lot of guys nowadays that can handle pressure a lot better. You
Mhm.
know, you don't have that old school two bigs on the floor where you got only three guys that can handle the ball. So it almost puts a lot of pressure on your defense as much, especially when you're playing a team. Like I feel like you guys were this way of being able to handle pressure and get the ball to your spot still amidst that pressure.
Yeah.
Um, so it surprises me that two teams that played that way really excelled, and obviously ended up playing in that I almost said state championship, that national championship game. But like, I guess, what are your thoughts on that? Because, not seeing it too much,
Mm.
do you think it's something that it was just they made two great runs and obviously they're great teams, or it was that was kind of a atypical style just from what everybody had seen, not just you guys all year long?
Man, I think it's pretty it's not seen too much, honestly. Like I think there are those teams that's kind of their identity and that's what they do every single year. But I think these two teams were just so great because they're so solid offensively. Like it wasn't even necessarily the defense. Like yeah, their defense would speed you up and like get you to turn it over a little bit. But I mean, if you look at it, like they they let teams score 90 points on them every
Right.
night. Like it's not they're not necessarily a defensive team. They're just outscoring you. Like it reminds me of the Ball brothers team. Like they're not necessarily playing defense, but they're gonna outscore you. Like
Yeah,
so
agree.
that's
It's a good
definitely
point.
yeah, they're just like very very efficient on the offensive end, and with them speeding you up, like they're gonna get a lot of shots up too, and they're making a lot of them. So
Absolutely. Yeah, that was a fun yeah, obviously would have been more fun seeing you guys, but that was a fun national. Did you watch it when those two teams played?
I did. I watched most of it. I got pretty
Was it a
salty
little
for a
too
little bit.
close to the little too
Yeah,
close to
I
the
got a
yeah, I
little
feel
upset
that.
for a little bit, but I did watch
Yeah.
most of it.
Yeah. No, it was a fun one to watch for those two teams. And it was just like, it kind of reminded me of an NBA game of like who's going to get to 120 first or whatever.
Yeah,
You know, like whoever gets to 120 first is going to win this thing.
That's why one side note on that, I'm interested to see because that assistant coach got the job at Western. So I'm just being up there, and like I know you've probably talked to Rags about it. Like altitude training is different. Like that is a whole different deal. So I'm like curious to see how those teams last per se, like throughout the year, because you can't just like be constantly conditioned. You know what I mean? Like your practices almost have to be shorter and stuff to save your guys a little bit, because that is a different that's different up there with the air being so thin. So that is one thing I'm interested to see next year, and I guess the years to come.
I just feel like if they do get that press down though, like they could be like dangerous if they have the right personnel because of that altitude. Like they're gonna wear teams out.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point.
It could be really good for them.
We beat that year freshman year was Matt's freshman year. We beat Highlands and Regis in the same weekend, and that had the second game we played Highlands, and they're number one in the conference at the time. And I just remember that was the biggest thing we said at halftime. We're like, "Yo, we ran them at the end of the first half. We could tell they were tired."
Yeah.
And so we were able to do it. You see teams kind of break down a little bit when you're playing up there, even though we didn't get a lot of dubs out of it. You could definitely tell that teams would get tired.
And it would get loud in that gym. I remember that gym is as little seating as it had. It would get pretty wild in there sometimes.
Yeah, it would.
I know from experience.
I do want to ask you this. Going back to that Western, the game we came down and you and Matt just went nuts. That was like, I'll stand by that as being the greatest performance I've ever seen by two dudes on opposite teams. Because that was my scout, and I remember saying all week, I said, I don't want to double, because we weren't very good at doubling at all. Like that was not our thing. I was just like, in my mindset, because we did it once with Tate when Ryan Steffen played in the RMAC, where we just kind of were like, all right, let's let Steffen get his, and if we can shut everyone else around him, we have a great shot. And that was my mindset. But at one point in that game, what point in that game did you realize, oh my God, this is like a special moment? Because I felt like at halftime, I remember you had 12 points. Next thing I do, I look at the stat sheet, you had like 38, and I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah, no, that game was wild, because I mean, Rags came out and he was just pulling, and I was like, dang, it's gonna be a long night if this is how he's feeling. Like, because like it wasn't like he was just hitting like open shots. Like every shot he took was fully contested. Like, and he was just smacking them, every single one. I was like, geez. But I mean, that first half, like I was like, I didn't even know. I was like, I don't even know what to do at this point. Like, there's not much we can do about Rags. Like he's just hitting. But I honestly told my my athletic trainer, Sean, you know Sean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went into the training room when we were coming out of halftime, and I told him, I was like, Sean, I'm going for 30 this half. I swear, guy, you can ask him. Like I was like, watch, and then like it didn't really hit me like what was going on until I kind of looked up, like what you said. Like I looked up and I was like Rags had like 40 something and I had like 40, and I was like, what is going on? Like that shouldn't be happening. Like, but it was honestly like, especially like doing it like against someone like Rags. Like, I mean, high school teammate, grew up with him. Like, it is just like, it's something that you'll remember forever. Like no matter what. Like it's a cool experience.
And that leads me into
who got the dub in, real quick, just who got the dub in that? Was it BH that got the dub?
We didn't beat them. Because I tried to take every scout, because I was the only team in the RMAC that I have never like beaten or anything like that. Because out of the years I was on the bench at BH, and then the years I was coaching at Western, I'd beaten every team except for Black Hills. And so that one was like, damn, this is my chance. And I just was like, I want this one. And I felt like I put together a decent scout, but obviously it wasn't a good idea to just let you go one-on-one the whole time.
Oh, man.
I was honestly like shocked, like when the first little bit, like I didn't realize that was really 1-on-1, and like they like was like Adam and like Sindhu, they were like, Joel, they're guarding you 1-on-1 like that, like they're like, that's disrespectful. Like I was like, that's like, all right, like
you know, it wasn't even like the disrespectful part. Like I was cool with letting you just, you know what I mean?
Sure.
I just wanted us to contain Adam, contain Sindhu, like those guys. And I remember looking in the second half or the first half, and you had 12 and Sindhu had, I think, 11 or something like that. And I was like, I looked at Shafe, I said, man, if we can do this right here, if we can try and replicate this same exact half, like we walk out of here with a 10-point win.
Yeah.
So let's just keep doing what we're doing. Obviously, we're doing a decent enough job on him. But we told them to dig too, but the digs were just terrible. Like straight up, we just stopped digging at that point, and they were just, it was almost like everyone on the court was in awe, like, oh my God, is this happening right now? You know?
Yeah.
No, and then he erupted.
Special. Oh God, dude, that one, I walked up to the locker room and I just looked at Shafe. I was like, that's on me. I'll take that one. I'll take honestly, that one on the chin.
Like I said, though, I still can't believe like some of those shots that Rags was hitting.
Dude.
It was unreal.
That's how he is, though.
Joe Cam was sitting front row across from us, and he was talking so much shit to Matt. And I just looked at him. I kept going. I was like, bro, hot hand. Like, stop it. He's not missing. Because he really wasn't. I was sitting next to Grant, and Matt come out and hit, like, he missed his first, and then he hit 4 or 5 straight. And I looked at Grant, and I said, oh, my God. Like, these are tough. We've seen this before. And Grant goes, he's not missing the rest of the night. And I think he missed 5 shots total.
Yeah.
But we knew then, it was like, dude, this kid is hitting the toughest shots I've ever seen.
There was one in the first half. It was the craziest thing because he got the ball and like took a step back 3, and Tommy Donovan was literally just like right there. Like I don't even, like, he couldn't have gotten any closer, couldn't have contested it any better. Like any other player, like it's like air ball, like not even close. And Rags just wet it. I was like, we're in for a night. Like,
I knew it was sad when you got the breakaway. It wasn't the breakaway dunk. Like I was like, oh damn, he's feeling it now, because that got the crowd really into it when Eli came and contested your dunk. But the one that I was like, was when it was like an awkward miss, and you just came in top of the key, one-handed. I looked over, I looked at Grant, I was like, Grant, we might be in trouble here. This isn't good.
Oh man,
but that made me want to ask you, just because I knew Matt was transferring right away, like right after season. He pulled me aside and was like, hey, I want to hit the portal. What do you think I should do? I asked him what his goals were, whatnot. But I told him, I said, honestly, if you want to win, like your best bet is to go talk to Coach Thompson. But if you do want to play D1, pursue it or whatnot.
Yeah.
But with him coming and playing with you, like obviously you guys won state your senior year. How cool, like special was it just to go on that run with him one more time, you know?
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of people get to play with like their high school teammates in college, like. So that alone is just like it's a pretty cool experience. And then, I mean, with him being where he was at Western and like the caliber of player he's at, he easily could have gone somewhere else. But I mean, his intentions, like he wanted to win, like, and he wanted to do everything the right way. And like he set aside like his ego, and it was a huge testament to his character. Like he set aside
agreed
like, the scoring, because he easily could have been a leading scorer, like the leading scorer in the RMAC on any other team. But he set aside all that stuff just because he wanted to win, and like he knew like this team had a really special thing going, and like we could make it far. And like it is honestly one of the coolest things to see, like out of a friend and a teammate, like to see that happen. Like it was really cool. And like it was also fun because like when it was his night, like it was his night. Like he gets going and he carries us. Like that was one of the other cool things about this team in general, is like it could be anyone's night and we're just going.
I just remember texting Bush after he decided to go to Black Hills and just being like, man, there were 2 50-point games last year in the same game, and now they play on the same team. Like, how is this happening right now?
I knew when you texted me that, Hills, I was like, man, I know other coaches are on the RMAC fist right now. Like, what?
Oh
How did this?
man.
You know what I mean? But like you said, though, that is a huge, like, knowing Rags for the last, like, being able to coach him for those three years, like, for him to be able to do that and, like, play that role for him, I thought helped him grow more as a player and an individual too. Like you said, he could have easily gone to any other team and been the leading scorer in the RMAC. But when he said, I want to win, I was like, dude, if you want to win, your best bet's to go to Spearfish. Like, and that, not just because I want you to go to the same school we went to, but like, if you want to win, you guys could really do something really special up there.
Yeah. And I really think he kind of shut a lot of people up, because I know like the big thing is like, yeah, he can score, but he might not necessarily be able to play defense. But like people would try to pick on him this year, like, but he was a great defender. Like he worked hard and he locked people up. Like I don't think people really understand like the caliber of player he really is.
No, because watching him, I hate throwing him under the bus for this, but it's so funny because his freshman year, when he would close out to people so like close to him, they would just rip by and he'd fall down. And just from that moment to like watching him battle in the post like this past year and whatnot, like you said, dude, I texted one day, I was like, your defense is so good right now. Like, you are an elite defender. You're able to guard some of the best guys on the court, even when they're trying to put you in isolation situations and stuff. So that was cool to watch him grow there too.
No, it was really cool. It was just fun having him on the team. Like you know Rags. He's just a goofy guy, like fun guy to be around. So,
dude,
we had a great episode with him too. It was fun.
I bet.
The best part about him, like you said, Goofy, is like he never let anything get him down. Anytime he comes into the gym, it's all smiles, all like just Rags. Like, that's who he is. So
for sure.
You can't replicate that. I would give him so much shit for all the little things.
You have to. That's how it is. You have to.
What role, if any, did you play in kind of coaxing him up there? Did you have to do much, or was Coach Thompson, handling a lot of that?
I mean, Coach Thompson handled a lot, but like when I knew like it was a possibility, like especially like even before he like committed to Evansville, like I was like, hey man, like, it'd be fun to come out here. And like when he decided to go to Evansville, like I was super happy for him, because like I thought it'd be like a super cool experience for him and he'd ball out there. But once that kind of fell through, I called him and I was like, Rags, like this is a sign, like you need to like this is what is supposed to happen. But
the writing's on the wall.
We definitely
baby.
had a couple calls and like talked about it a little bit. But I mean, for the most part, I think it was mostly Thompson.
Yeah. I want to ask you. I want to get into some of the other stuff here, but one more thing on the Black Hills from my end is just I want to hear some of your highlights, because obviously you had a good 4-year career. But before I do that, just for the people that may not be familiar with Joel Scott, here are some of your records, and these are not even close to all of them. These are just a few. First in points scored in a game with 50. We were just talking about that. First in single season points with 787. First and second in scoring average, 23.1 and then 20.7. First in field goals made in a season, 291. First in single season rebounds with 362. And then obviously first in BH career points with 2,457. I know what you're about to say. Go ahead.
And the teammate thing with him and Matt setting the NCAA record for most points scored by teammate or high school teammates or something like that. Yep, that's cool.
Yeah, and I think I also read here. I also read on that same one that I found your career points that's the most in active NCAA athletes, basketball players, is what I read on that thing. For his career, he ended as the active NCAA career points leader with 2,457, and also the all-time scoring leader at Black Hills State. But with all that said, all those accolades, all those records, whatever else, what are some things, because, obviously Bush and I were at Black Hills together, and we have many memories together. And to be honest with you, 80% of those memories don't deal with basketball or don't deal with the games. You know what I mean? And so what are some of yours? They can be basketball related, they can be otherwise, but I want to hear some of yours.
Alrighty, let's see here. Oh man, there are honestly a lot to choose from. Shoot, COVID year itself could have been its own little story.
Yeah.
We had some absolutely insane times. I I remember this is probably like looking back on it, it's hilarious, but like when it was happening, it was probably one of the worst things that probably happened to us during COVID. But like it was like at the beginning of the year, like we were all like everyone's back at school. Like of course, like you're gonna go to a party even though it's like COVID, like whatever.
Yeah.
And, like we went and everyone ended up getting COVID, and like
Of
Coach
course.
Thompson found out, and he just ran us into the ground. Like I mean, like I looked at Coach Gold during weights, and I was like, I tried to say what's up to him. I was like, "What's up, Coach Gold? How you doing?" And he looked at me and just walked away, and I was like, "Oh man." Like that itself was just that it told you right there.
Yeah.
But I mean, we had honestly some of the best moments. Like I don't know if you guys thought this, but like on the bus, like our bus trips, like it was just like some of the stupidest things, but like I mean, they were always fun. Like we always had a good time, and it honestly brought you pretty close with your teammates. And even though
how much stuff would you guys do? Like how much stuff would you guys do that the coaches set up that was necessarily team building or what, like, and it didn't necessarily need to be a team retreat or anything like that, but as far as maybe a team dinner or coach having you guys over for dinner, how much of that would you guys do? Because you seemed like a group that maybe not necessarily hung out all the time, but you enjoyed being around each other and you enjoyed each other's company. Did you guys do a lot of that stuff?
It wasn't necessarily like a crazy amount. I mean, like if something was happening, like our game was on, like we'd all try like we'd shoot the invite, like if people want to come over, like watch the game or whatever, like we would do it. But for the most part, like honestly, like we just had that chemistry. Like like even if we didn't see each other for a while or whatnot, like as soon as we like saw each other, like it was like everyone was friends. It wasn't like that.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like necessarily just the older guys like talk to the older guys, younger guys talk to the younger guys, and or how it is. But is everyone like? I mean, like I loved our freshmen. Like they were great. Like it was everyone kind of was friends with everyone. There weren't really those cliques or anything like that. It was pretty fun. It was a good time.
Sounds like nothing has changed in Hills, because when we were on King Street, all the international guys from the dorms, like there'd be a game on, and all of a sudden door would fly open, and Frazier, "What's up, guys?" And we're like,
yeah,
all right, well, everyone's over at the house now. Might as well just
and of course
let it be.
They got a bottle of something in hand,
Of
come on, mates. All right.
and that was Steph and Tio and Tony and all.
Yeah.
I was probably like better friends with Steph than some of the freshmen that came in with, just because like that's just who they were, and so it kind of carried on. Like we do the same thing. Like we're telling the freshmen to get over here and like have a good time, like let loose a little bit.
That's a good thing, man, because there are a lot of cultures and teams that aren't like that, like it's the classes that come in together that all hang out together, and then the next class that comes in, they don't really hang with these dudes, they don't hang with these dudes, they hang with these freshmen that came in with them. So like I feel like that maybe in a big capacity or small capacity had to play some role in your guys' success and just the way you guys performed on the court, because when you're playing with dudes you like to play with, the game of basketball is a lot more beautiful thing than when you're out there with dudes that maybe you're not jiving with. So it's good to hear that you guys carried on some of that stuff of wrangling everybody up and being together. You know what I mean?
Well, it's again, it's like it's you guys like started that. Like it's the people before you. Like Coach Thompson will always say it. Like the people before you, like that were there before you, like started like the culture and stuff like that. And so it really has just like come down. Like it's just something that's always kind of been a thing. I mean, especially for me, like the older guys were always kind of hanging out with the younger guys, like it didn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's all you guys old heads over here now.
Hey, we're not going to take all that credit, but we appreciate it. We appreciate it.
It's just like, I mean, like you said, like us being on King Street, having those two apartments right next to each other, like it was dumb not to like, might as well just come kick it. There's a bunch of room. Like it technically was a big ass house with eight rooms. There was just a wall that divided it, you know. So
Yeah.
it's like come hang out. Like who cares what happens? Just don't be dumb.
Yeah.
Come through to West King, baby. That was the motto. Bush, you got anything else on the BH? I want to start talking to this dude about some other stuff because
no, go ahead, start it.
I just want to talk with you about, you know, obviously for those that don't know, Joel's planning on coming back down south to Fort Collins here for his grad year, correct?
I'm actually extending my undergrad to 5th year just because.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Have a light class load, focus on basketball.
Go. Okay, so he's taking his 5th year at CSU. What kind of played into that decision, you know, of you deciding to, for one, CSU, because I'm confident that there were a million other people in your phone. What was it about CSU that drew you there?
Yeah, I mean, first off, it was like, I mean, their coaches like were really like consistent and like they were really giving plans and like they were showing me like even before I even was like necessarily interested, they're like, this is what we want to do, like this is how we want to develop you, this is how we want to use you type deal. But they also wanted that they really focused on that like personal connection and like getting to know them like just outside of basketball, getting to know me outside of basketball type deal. But I mean, I went on my visit and it felt like the right fit. I mean, it was kind of like that gut feeling. I was supposed to go on another visit the next day and I canceled it because I was like, I really don't need to go like to another place. Like I just know, and like I'm not trying to waste my time. I'm not trying to waste anyone else's time. So like I just kind of knew like it was that was the place.
Yeah. We Bush, I'm sure we talked about it in a few of them, but we were talking about how when kids get that offer, you know, and maybe it's not the D1 or the glamorous offer that they thought they were going to get, but it feels right on the inside. It's good to hear you say that because I feel like sometimes the culture of today is to wait for that biggest offer, that offer I'm really, really waiting for. But having a dude like you sit here and say, man, I had maybe other things, maybe bigger, better things on the table, but this one felt where I needed to be. I think that's something that people need to hear because you're hearing about kids miss out on opportunities because they wait too long. Yeah. You know.
It was like I always told kids, or I got this from Ben, but after he left, I would ask kids like, can you see yourself? Can you close your eyes, or when you leave here, are you going to be able to see yourself going to class, going from class to like the practice facilities to the weight rooms? Can you see yourself walking around campus, mingling with other students and stuff like that? So obviously that's something you felt. And like you said, with your gut instinct, like it's good for that, because kids that do listen to this that are in high school, like take notes from that, because it doesn't matter. Like Hilgs always stresses, it doesn't matter if you have something bigger or better. Like there's going to be coaches out there that have a plan for you and truly care about you. And if it feels right, just go for it. You can't. And two, if you wait, like let's say you waited it out, who knows if that scholarship from, who knows how long Colorado State would have waited, right? So I think that's a big thing.
And it's difficult nowadays too, with just like, because college coaches will really say anything. Like it's hard to get a read on some coaches, because coaches will really say anything to try to get you to come to their school. Like, And like when you get there, like it's just like there's nothing adds up and all that. So I mean, that's one thing I didn't get from the coaches at Colorado State in any way. Is like I felt like they were shooting me straight and telling me things that I needed to hear, and it was honestly one of the craziest things is on my visit, you know how you do like a little film session or whatever or whatnot, like showing you like maybe the offense or something. I had never seen this before, but they showed me clips like where I like did something horrible, and they're like, this is what we're gonna do. Like this is how we're gonna improve this. Like we're gonna get you doing this and this. Like I was like, wow. Like I have never like usually on stuff like that, like the coaches are showing you like stuff you're doing good.
They're
like,
gassing you up. Yeah.
Like, and I remember sitting there. I looked at my brother and I was just like that's crazy. Like I've never. So that was kind of another thing where I was like, okay, these guys are legit. Like it's a good place.
Did it give you a sense that they had really thought about where you fit into this program? Like, because I think that's a big part of recruiting is, especially with these kids you really want, or maybe your top recruits or whatever it might be, is the difference between getting them and maybe not getting them is how you communicate your vision for them in your program. So it sounds like CSU really did that for you, of where you're going to fit into the roster and how you're going to fit into what they do.
Yeah, they definitely did. Like, I mean, like I know, like I got a lot of things like I need to work on. Like I still can become a much better player, but I mean, just hearing them say like how they want to develop me and like a specific plan of how they're going to, and like how I fit in with the rest of the team and the rest of the guys, like it's a unique thing to hear. Like it's really cool. And I mean, not a lot of coaches will spend the time to really like look into your like to how you fit into their team before you've even got there, before you've even committed. Like that doesn't happen very often. So it was pretty special.
They're already treating you like you were coming to school there. That's
yeah, seriously.
That's big.
Seriously.
Like they did their homework and said this is exactly where he needs, like, all that stuff. So that's interesting. I would have said yes to that too if I would have had that. Like that's because that shows that they care.
It really did, and like I said, it was just like a super cool experience to have that, and like obviously like you want to go somewhere where you feel like the coaches care about you, like not necessarily just like basketball wise, but like as a person, and that's like that's what I got. So
yes, sir. Let me ask you this. You don't have to say who, but how many or so D1s were hitting you up rough, would you say?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I don't mind saying who. Man. I don't mind saying who. I still haven't necessarily cleared my entire phone just because it was so wild. But I probably had oh man, like 60 to 70 schools reach out. Like
that doesn't surprise me one bit, though. Like, to be honest with you,
it was just unreal. Like I about 30 minutes after I entered the portal, like officially entered my name in the portal, I was getting calls like and texts. Like I remember there were a couple phone calls I was on, and like I got 3 phone calls from other coaches while I was on the phone call with the number one coach. I was like, like I really had to put my phone on DND just to like get some work done. Like I literally, it was just like it was that crazy. And like I mean, I guess it's a good problem to have, but it's really hard to organize and manage.
Go ahead,
Hilks. Go ahead. No, you're good. Go ahead.
I remember I asked Matt this. I said, what was it? Because he had some pretty bigger, like, obviously Evansville felt more home to him than some of the bigger names that hit him up. Like, what was some of the biggest, like the bigger names, or was there bigger names? And obviously there had to have been if there's 60 to 70 schools hitting you up, but.
So okay, let's see here. Some of the bigger ones was Clemson, Vanderbilt, Minnesota, Texas Tech, Cal,
Texas Tech, okay,
Washington. Yeah, there are some pretty big ones, pretty big ones in there.
You got
Dang, yeah,
ACC and
that's
SEC and Big
powerful.
12.
Yeah. Oh, Missouri too. Mizzou hit me up too. I talked
Yeah.
to them for a little bit.
Who hit you up from Mizzou?
Oh man, I don't remember his name. I really can't remember.
Was it
his
Rich
name.
McBride?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, he's actually not there anymore. Never mind. My bad. He's not there anymore. He was there for a year or two, but he's actually gone there. But I thought it was going to be him.
But
because I could
cool,
see.
though.
Yeah, that's dope.
It was pretty crazy. Like, I mean, seeing like a text come to your phone being like, "Hey Joel, like this is an assistant coach from Texas Tech." Like, you're like sitting there like, "What?" Like, like hold up, like what?
Oh man.
That
So
tells
when you started narrowing it down,
Mhm.
when you started narrowing it down, what helped you get to that point? Because for one, did you go on like your 4 or 5 visits or whatever it is, or did you just take a few?
Yeah, so that's actually the other crazy thing is Colorado State was my very first visit.
Oh
Yeah,
shoot!
yeah, my very first visit. So that was the other thing that was kind of like I was like, that's how I knew. Like, if I'm not willing to take another visit, like, it's got to be home, you know?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So
That's
that
cool.
was pretty crazy. Yeah. But
Was the fact that they were a tournament team, like obviously did they go to the tournament this past year?
no, they didn't. They had kind of a down year this past year.
But I know for the 2 or 3 years before that, they were getting into the tournament every year, it seemed like.
Yeah, they were. It's been like 4 out of the past 5 years or something like that.
Yeah.
'Cause they had that David
Did
Roddy
that play a
kid.
role? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, David Roddy. Yeah. So it definitely did play a role. I mean, I feel like it's every kid's dream to play in March Madness. Like, like how can it not be? But I mean, it plays a role, but also I just like
Just
I want to
felt
win,
good, huh?
but it felt good. Like it felt like
Yeah.
all the right pieces coming in to win. So
That's a beautiful thing. And the
yeah.
fam's going to be able to see you, and they're going to be able to, I'm sure they came to a bunch of games anyway, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially
Yeah.
all the ones in Colorado.
Yeah.
Like they were there. So, but they're
That's
gonna
clutch.
love being able to go to the home games now.
Yes,
No
sir.
offense, go Pokes, but like I told Hilgs, I'll put the rivalry aside for a little bit. For this year, I'll be mutual because I just want to see the success, even though it's gonna be like, damn, I can't just cheer against this guy that I've been like cheering for the past 4 years, you know.
No, that's awesome. I love it. And hey, you got Cott on your team now.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's cool though too, because we talked about this on a couple episodes ago. We were like, the fact that the RMAC was able to send 2 dudes D1 and them be in the same conference again.
Well, 3 dudes.
3 dudes,
Yeah,
3 dudes. I forgot. Blaze went to Weber, and so that in itself is awesome because it just puts the conference back on notice. Because I felt like the RMAC, like me and Hilks talked about this, the RMAC took a little bit of a dip, but it feels like it's now with this past year with how competitive those Fort Lewis, Mines, and Mesa were. It felt like it took a step in the right direction again.
Oh yeah, it definitely did. It needed that for sure. And like I even like my junior year, like we were saying, is like I feel like no one really respects the RMAC in any way. And like it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool this past year, like in that regional, because I'll stand by it. I mean, I still think like first off, Fort Lewis should have been hosting. There's no question about that. But secondly, like I felt like even like our 5 and 6 teams, like in the RMAC, would have beat the teams that were in the regional for the Lone Star. Like I just like just playing with them, watching like Fort Lewis and them play. Like it's just like I just didn't think the talent level was even close.
Let me ask you this, because we've had this conversation a little bit. Obviously, the RMAC this year was really top heavy. Like even if as you get into Shattering, there was 4 or 5 teams that had 13-6 or 13-7 or better records, and then there was quite a drop off. Who ended up getting 6th? I don't remember who it was. The UCCS or Regis? Yeah, that's what it was.
Regis.
But there was a big drop off. Do you feel, because we've talked in the past about how the RMAC will have, you know, on a typical year, those 1 or 2 teams in the top 15, top 25, and then there's, you know, pretty big drop off. Do you feel like from 1 all the way to, I don't know, 10 or 11 was great competition, or do you feel like after a certain point it was really big drop off in talent level?
I think I would say probably like 1 to 7 was probably like really like super competitive. I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a huge drop off because like I mean you guys watched it obviously, but like those lower level, like those lower teams in the conference, like they can still beat anyone on any given night. Like it's just like, I mean, that's how it is. But I definitely think like the 1 through 7, 1 through 8 maybe are like super competitive, and like any night, every game's kind of like it's up in the air a little bit. So
yeah, we need to keep that going because that, I think the RMAC, you know, it could be a league that it is a solid, you know, 1 through 6, 1 through 7 league, and it's not having those big drop offs, you know, from year to year, of not necessarily, you know, top 5 teams like, you know, you guys in Fort Lewis and whoever else was up there at some point this year, but having those 5 to 6 teams that are at least sniffing top 25 every single year, where it's like receiving votes, and then these 4 or 5 teams are in the top 25. I think it could be a league like that. I really do.
Yeah, it definitely could be.
Yeah. But I think teams like, you know, Metro, they got to get back to where they're, you know, fighting for some conference titles, and obviously Black Hill's doing what they're doing in Fort Lewis, and, you know, the typical teams that have been at the top. But it'd be a good thing to see the RMAC kind of emerge, especially from this year, with that momentum of being one of those leagues that is getting 5 or 6 teams in that top 25.
Yeah, absolutely.
You good, Bush?
Yeah, I don't know what else. I'm over
I know
here.
what I got. I
keep
know what I
thinking.
want to say.
Say it.
Kind of back to the CSU thing. You talked about how, you know, they communicated what their vision is for you on the floor and all that type of stuff. What do you see translating well that you do now to what they're trying to do, and what do you see that are things that you're going to have to be like, okay, this might be an area where I'm really going to have to battle and really going to have to improve in this spring and summer?
So I mean, I think my post game will translate pretty well. I think because like I'm not going to be playing the 5 anymore. I'm going to be playing like a 4, like more of, and like with their offense, it's honestly more of like a guard ish role, not necessarily, but ish. And so I think post game will definitely translate, just because I don't think there are many people that can physically necessarily like guard in the post at that level. Like it's either they're tall or they're like just short and stocky.
Yeah.
But the one thing I'm definitely gonna have to work on with that is just guard skills in general, and like and also finishing. Like everything's different at the D1 level. Like everyone's more athletic. Like I gotta work on my finishing like over more athletic dudes. That's definitely gonna be a huge thing. But I mean, my guard skills and like just being prepared and being able to handle the ball a little more, come off screens and make those decisions like that is gonna be a big thing that I'm gonna have to work on and kind of put a lot of effort into. Shooting wise, like gonna have to be able to be a consistent like knockdown shooter and be able to hit those shots when I'm like maybe like slightly contested, like be able to shoot those with confidence and shoot them well. I think one thing that will translate pretty well is defense. I think I feel like I'm a pretty solid defender, and I like my odds guarding bigs and guards. I feel like I mean I didn't do it a lot, but I feel like I can guard guards pretty well and kind of give our team
there's no question about
switch
that.
things and not really have to worry about like switching and like doubling or whatnot. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll
that's what I
agree with
think you
that.
bring. Yeah, you bring so much versatility defensively, man. Like, I remember scouting against you guys of being like, well, if they switch, we still don't have an advantage. Like, you know, like, so we're trying to piece together ways to score on you dudes, because it's not just you that was good defensively, it was your whole program, you know. So I think, to your point, that's something just watching you play, and obviously being somewhat familiar with the Mountain West and all that type of stuff. I think that's what's going to translate best for you for sure, because and probably help you get your rhythm on the offensive end. You know, the better you can play on that defensive end, and the better you can execute what they're wanting you to execute. You know as good as anybody, that's hard to take somebody like that off the floor.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
when you got a dude that's going to get the job done on the defensive end, and you don't have to worry about him, you can play that guy for 40 minutes.
I'll say that too. Just being being removed from like the sidelines this year and having a chance to really just kind of watch watch you guys as a whole, going to a lot of your home games and whatnot. I thought your guys' defense was the main reason why you would separate from teams, because I would go into Thompson's office quite a few times after. I remember the one game, it was after the Fort Lewis weekend, and you guys just got done playing Adams. He was talking to me. He's like, "What are you seeing out there?" I was like, "Honestly, man, like if you guys can just keep stringing together those 5-minute periods where you're holding teams to no buckets or anything like that, that's gonna help you go such a long ways." And one thing I noticed from you, you'd get like Boatwright's probably one of the bigger dudes in the RMAC, like size
that dude
wise.
was a load. That dude was
But the
massive.
thing is he couldn't. It was so hard for him to back you down. You know, like you're so strong. So being able, even though you're going up against now bigger, stronger, more athletic people, like I don't feel like that's going to be much of a issue for you, because you yourself are already strong, and you're going to have a little bit of a lower center of gravity too for how strong you are. So
yeah. Going back on that defensive thing. Besides me, I just gotta say this: Sindhu Cisse is the best defender in the nation.
Hey,
I am sorry, I have to say it. I had to say it. He really is. And I don't think people understand that.
Yeah, Riker said that, because I remember we brought that up in that episode. I said what he did, dude. What he did was unreal. Like, he really held the best players on each team, like not below their average, but like well below their average.
Significantly, yeah.
No, and that's so hard to do.
I really had to say it. I don't think people understand. Like, that dude wasn't healthy, and he's still the best defender in the nation. Like, I don't care what anyone says. Like, it's unreal the things he was doing.
I think the game that opened my eyes on him right there, and it took me all year, but it was the Fort Lewis game. He really held a cool cot to 14 points, or what it wasn't, and he's like a 20-plus point per game person. And I was like, damn, if you're doing that to the team's best players, like I'll bet against that any day of the week.
Well, I mean, even the year before, we played Northwest Missouri State. Trevor Hudgens, NBA player, like legit NBA player. Sindhu held him to what, like 12 points or something like that. I think like it makes me mad, like, for him. Like he flies so under the radar. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I remember texting with Bush. I think it was before the Fort Lewis game, at regionals. You played him at regionals again. And I was just like, where one of us said, just put Sindhu on Cot. Like, I'm telling Sindhu to just follow him around all game long. You're not leaving his side. And he did. He's strapped up.
He did it
he's
well,
too. He's so like quick, but his length, arm wise, like his wingspan, what plays a huge factor too. But his speed and agility, you could go on and on about him playing defense. Like,
for sure.
Even he took because he truly, when he came into BH, he scored too. Like he was putting up numbers. Like, and then this past year, he really took a different role and was like, no, that's not my role. I'm just going to shut down everyone else. So
Yeah.
that goes to the point where me and Tate, I think we talked about this 2 episodes ago, where like if you can guard, you're not leaving the court. If you can guard the ball, you're not getting put on the bench.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you really can't take that person off the court. Like, it's just
no.
Yeah,
I didn't realize he was banged up as well too, huh?
Yeah, he was like really not healthy. Like he was probably like 60-70% almost the entire year. Like it was that bad. Like and he was
Well, much respect to him. That's our second Sindhu Cisse shout out. So much respect to Sindhu.
Absolutely.
Yep. Going on another quick little tangent. Obviously, it's the NBA playoffs. I want to ask you this: who you got out of the West, and who do you got out of the East?
Man, I got the Nuggets out the West. That's my
Ooh.
I'll get on board with that. I got
the Nuggets out the West. Out of the East though, I'm not really sure. I'm kind of on the Jimmy Buckets wave right now. So
he's out for game 3.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
He's out for game 3 too.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. I think before
they lost. They're down like 5 or 6 right now. They're gonna lose this one, but they did their job. Got the one at home. Who do you got for this series? Obviously, this is the most talked series since the Warriors and Cavs. But who do you got for the Warriors-Lakers series?
I mean, I want the Warriors just because. I mean, I'm not a LeBron guy. That's not me.
Boo, you both.
Yeah,
man, thank you.
Respect greatness.
You need to keep Rags in check on that one. Then,
shoot, if greatness is walking up and down the court on defense, I don't want it.
I feel that.
I don't want it, but no, I think the Warriors. I think it's going to go 7 games, but I think the Warriors are going to come out on top.
I agree with that.
I'm going Dubs in 6.
I don't know.
So Bush, who's your finals matchup? Because you were saying Warriors there for a while.
It's so hard because for me, I really think it's going to be Nuggets Warriors in the conference finals, and just dissect. I want the Warriors, so I want them to win because I want Steph to get that 5th ring so bad. But I think Denver's bench and their depth is just going to wear teams out. Dude, their guys that they bring off the bench are just so good. Like Bruce Brown, Jeff Green, and that Christian Braun. Those are all defensive guys, right? And they can score too, but like they do great things on the defensive end. I'm going to just ride with it though and say Warriors. But I think they'll play Philly. I think Philly's going to come out of the East 100%. If Joel Embiid can get healthy, I truly think Philly is the best team in the East. What about you, Hooks?
I got Warriors, and I'm going back and forth between Boston and Heat. I don't know, because Boston dropped game 1, man. Boston dropped game 1 real bad, and that was tough to see, but I was high on them for a little while.
When Boston's playing well, they're playing well. Like
but that's the thing, like I don't know if they get blown out in that, because it was like a 20-point game, wasn't it? First game? Or no, they lost by 4. You're right. They lost by 5.
James Harden had 45.
Yeah, that's great.
Lost by 4, by 4. But I don't know. I think it's after seeing that and losing it at home. I don't know if I can still go with Boston. So I'm going to go with the Heat, Warriors and Heat.
Someone said it today perfectly. Like the Warriors returned 10 dudes from the championship team last year, and they're healthy. Like they're like probably the one team in the league that is healthy all the way down. Wiggins has fresh legs. He missed a month. So it's just hard to bet against a team that's dominated the NBA for 9 years. I mean, they're probably the best dynasty. They're probably better than what the Tim Duncan Spurs were, honestly. Yeah, I said it.
They've won more championships, or equal
for the last 8.
championships.
For the last 8. So
that's it.
But I don't know. You got anything else, Tate?
No, sir. That was
No?
that was a very, very lovely podcast. Thank you, Joel, for giving your just your takes on all that stuff, because I know there's going to be a few people on Twitter and on whatever else that are excited about this one. To hear this one. RMAC Insider, what up, man? Still don't know
That's
who
our
you
guy.
are, but I know he's going to be excited about this. But we appreciate you, bro. We're excited to see what you do. We're obviously very honored to have competed and watched you these last 4 years. But for these last 1 or however many years you decide to take for these, to round out your college career, you already know we're going to be supporting you, bro. So appreciate you hopping on with us.
I appreciate you guys, man.
Yep. It's going to be fun to watch. We'll have to get you on again, like after you've experienced the whole D1 route a little bit, just to kind of, compare, give the comparison out.
I would like to get a Joel Scott, Matthew Ragsdale.
Oh yes, that would be a good one.
A joint episode there.
That would be fun for sure.
That would be a good one. Andrew Wiggins starting off with a 3, man. It's game time. So Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, like, subscribe, comment. Let us know how you're doing. But that's all I got.
That's all we got, baby. Thank you, Joel.
Yep.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.